Business Women Australia podcast show, the podcast that brings together industry leaders to discuss the latest trends, insights and strategies. So sit back and relax. Let's get inspired by the amazing women who are shaping the future of professional women in Australia. Hello and welcome to the Business Women Australia podcast show. I am Leanne Jeffery. I'm your host today. And joining me today is the phenomenal Dr. Kate RINGVALL from Galactic Cooperative. So welcome.
Thanks, Leanne. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Kate's grown up through what we love to call, and I heavily relate to, is a self-confessed feral childhood in the wild places of WA. And Dr. Kate's become a leader in the sustainability and circular economy field, working, studying and exploring sustainability as we know it today. And Dr. Kate's areas of expertise are circular economy. Now, these are a mouthful. Sustainability in business, sustainability in branding, sustainable urban planning, sustainable cities, sustainable transport, transit-orientated development, and energy efficiency in the built environment. And with over 30 years of experience, Dr. Kate is a research fellow in circular economy with Curtin University Sustainability Policy Unit, as well as a principal solutionary with Galactic Cooperative. Yeah, that's a lot to keep up with.
I know. And I used to think that there was, I was a bit odd that I had all these things that I was focused on, but now I understand it's probably my ADHD brain, and that's okay.
We love neurospicy brains.
Yeah, neurospicy. And, yeah.
Well, I'll say, we were talking before, and being of the neurospicy descent myself,
yes,
I asked for information on what you do, and you sent me completely through a rabbit hole with this one. And
yeah.
One of the facts that you sent out, and because this absolutely blew my mind, so I fed the kids and then ignored them to follow this rabbit hole last night. And it's the fact that the world's top firms, so these are the top 3,000 firms in the world, cause $2.2 trillion of environmental damage. And a third of the profits would be lost if firms were forced to pay for use, loss, and damage of environment. And that figure actually doesn't account for the flow-on effect of the purchases and the use
and what
in
they
homes
do
as well.
Yeah.
So obviously I needed something to compare it to, and I went obviously Australian statistics. So this is the top 3,000 businesses in the world. Australia has 2.6 million businesses. Yeah. With the $2.2 trillion of environmental damage, our GDP is $1.5 trillion. So that was a phenomenal statistic.
There's some big numbers in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually understand why we need to implement these climate expectations in business, which is our topic today.
Yeah. It becomes really obvious when you put it like that. And I mean, it's not like any of these numbers have changed over the last, 20, 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. It's that we're now, I think it's now that we're experiencing the outcomes of those decisions, and it's very present. It's very real now.
And we talk about experiencing outcomes. So why do you think it is so important to integrate this sustainability and climate action in businesses?
I mean, at the barefaced, most honest answer is we won't have a planet without it. We won't exist in the way that we are currently living. We were not. Yeah, we won't have a viable planet. That's the most confronting answer. But also, if you kind of take it back from the most base answer, we won't have the resources to do the things that we want to do. Businesses won't have the resources that they're currently relying on because we've used them all up, basically, or we've changed the planetary weather patterns and climate kind of patterns to such an extent that those resources that we're relying on won't grow or won't be in existence because we've changed the way that the planetary systems work.
And global warming always seems to come in and out almost as that hot topic.
Yeah.
And people always want to debate it. And you were saying that the average temperatures for 5-year and 10-year periods are the highest on record.
Yep.
And, we now have 30% of the world's population exposed to, these deadly heat waves for more than 20 days a year.
Yeah, and look, and plenty of the skeptics will say, oh, yeah, but, the planet has always had these changes. Yeah, they have. Not denying that. Nobody's denying that. What we're saying, though, is it's the pace of change. It's what has taken us, I don't know, 150 years to do took millennia for a normal planetary changing climate system.
And that's the difference, is there's an environmental change that the world will circle through, but this is becoming a man-made change.
This is totally man-made. Yeah,
totally
man-made.
How much can we put into it?
Yeah,
before the world can reset, before it can bounce back.
I don't know. I don't know that we have that answer, but we just know that we haven't got much time left. If we're going to turn this ship around, and I think we can. I am an eternal optimist, but I think we have the skills, we have the technology, we have the potential and the ability to do it. What we don't seem to have is the will. The collective will is just not there. It's
hard. And when we talk about with the corporate risk and everything, but we're also we've got these smaller businesses that are holding back and addressing these issues. And what do you think is holding them back from addressing corporate and climate risk?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of things going on. For most small businesses, the SME, which, Galactic, we're a tiny business, really. I think we've maybe got 12 staff all up. For most organisations who approach this stuff, they say, it's just too hard. The enormity of what they think they need to do is, it's all too hard. I'm not an expert in it. I don't know what I'm doing. It's too expensive. And also I think it's this idea that it's not my core business. We're not in the business of sustainability, so why do I care? Who cares? And what they miss is, or what they're missing in that kind of thought pattern is, we're all impacting the planet every single day. Every choice we make, everything we do, it's impacting the planet. And if we can make that better and improve those choices, then, and we can, every single person will have an impact that is more positive than the opposite, which is what's happening now.
Yeah. And, we talk about, with the global warming, because...
Excuse the barking dogs.
It's all right. The dog's angry that we can't get to the point we need to be.
Yeah.
But, we need to reduce emissions by, you think 7.6% every year until 2030. So Not
at
even
the
7
very
years.
least.
Yeah, and that, when you think of, what you might do for 10% of your day, 10%, it's 7.6. And if people go taking on those smaller points, what do you think in that 7.6%? So just kind of throwing that curveball, what do you think that would look like as a small business to make those small changes, that 7.6% to help bring us to
it's
that
a really
point?
good question. Yeah. And I don't think it's that difficult to kind of break down. It's looking at how are we purchasing as a company? Where is our stuff coming from? And if you can think about, and the way that I can't frame it is, you've got to act as if there's no waste, there's no landfill. There's no such thing as landfill. Let's just think about how would I change my behaviour if the thing we call waste and landfill didn't exist? What would that be? How would that look? So if that was the case, then of course, we are just one little cog in this enormous system at the moment that frankly is relying on that landfill existing and is designing everything predicated on the existence of that landfill. Mm-hmm. But let's just step aside from that for the minute. What would happen if that didn't exist? So we would be purchasing in such a way that there was no waste. Our products would come to us in a casing or a packaging that either broke down, biodegraded in a sort of natural sort of way, and biodegraded products that nature can manage and deal with. So obviously that's some type of natural product that it could be cardboard or some type of cotton or jute or so not plastic basically that's made of fossil fuels. It's something that can break down, and then that item that's come to us, we've been given instructions on how to repair it, how to maintain it. We've probably got access to some spare parts maybe, or, is it 3D printing like what we do at Galactic Cooperative? Can you 3D print that widget that's, buried deep inside? Or can you get someone, I'm in a system of repairers and manufacturers and maintainers of my machine. So when I buy it, I'm not just buying this thing. And to extend that even more, maybe what if it's a bit like Caterpillar? So Caterpillar they make those big, giant, enormous machines. They work on a system of what's effectively lease. So me as a farmer, I purchase a Caterpillar machinery of some description. I don't own that machine. What I'm owning is the thing that machine does.
Yeah.
That service. I'm purchasing that service. And that's really where we need to be going. As businesses, we don't need to own stuff. What we want to do, what we need is the thing, the service, the product that it provides, or the service that it provides is the thing that we want, not necessarily the nuts and bolts of the thing that it provides. So, and that means I'm not having to worry about how to maintain it. Caterpillar will maintain it. They will service it. It's all part of the service agreement that I'm leasing. It means Caterpillar then has a much better kind of remit, I suppose, to make sure that they're designing their product to last as long as possible, because I'm going to lease it and it makes financial sense for Caterpillar to make sure that thing goes for as long as possible, that things aren't breaking down constantly and them having to come in and fix it. And so the onus on making sure that the materials are used for as long as possible, that it's maintainable, that it's serviceable, that there's spare parts constantly available. That's all that onus now is not on me as the sort of service owner or the buyer, consumer. It's the producer and manufacturer of that product. And more we're moving towards that kind of model of how consumers and businesses get their stuff that they need, whether it's, Philips lighting. So Philips, up until very recently, you go into a Bunnings and you buy a globe, and it's a Philips globe, and that's great. You take it home, you put it in, a year or so later, it breaks down. You go back into Bunnings and you get another one. That model, that them, in a commercial sense at least, they have now said, actually, that doesn't really work. We want to be more responsible about those materials. So now, commercial lighting, a whole building can be managed as far as their lighting by Philips. Philips will come in, make sure that all of those lightings are there, light sources have Philips globes in them. They will maintain those globes for the life of that contract effectively, and they will make sure that those globes last as long as possible, because that's their economic viability built into that contract. And so, in a world where waste doesn't exist, that's what it would look like. We would not be constantly having to maintain things because the owner of the product or the manufacturer of that product that I'm getting the service from now has the onus to make sure that they're not constantly having to repair things, because that doesn't make sense in an economic world, in an economic sense. And why should it make sense if that's me as well? I don't want to be constantly putting stuff in the bin. And so that's what the world would look like.
And, and you think it's such an easy thing to go, you know what, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And then problem is that everyone gets caught off by the shiny things.
I know. And that's really hard as a human. We think, oh my God, it's $20. It's only $20. I could buy like two.
I could do that. I could do
Yeah,
this.
I could do that.
Yeah.
And it's only $20. So, if it breaks down, it's cool. I can go and buy another one.
Yeah.
We've really, I'm guilty of that too. I'm none of us, because we're all sit within this system that encourages that.
Yeah. And all your marketing, everything's designed for spending.
Yeah, that's right. But we can't keep doing that. We literally can't keep doing that. No, and so something has to change.
It does. And, going into that rabbit hole that I've spoken about, you look at, you're looking at ASIC.
My favorite rabbit hole.
I love this rabbit hole. And I actually have all these really messy handwritten notes in front of me about this. But, why has ASIC taken the step of including climate action, environmental impact into their expectations of their fiduciary responsibilities?
Yeah, good question. Really good question. I'd like to say, I would like to be able to say that, they felt that was their, their responsibility, all on their own. Sadly, I suspect not. There's this thing called, and I always get the acronyms incorrect, but let's see how I go. The task force for climate-related fiduciary financial disclosures. The task force for climate-related financial disclosures. So that's the TCFD. Have I got that right? TCFD.
TCRFD.
Yeah. Or that too. Yeah, that too. And then there's the TNF, which is the nature-related financial disclosures. Anyway, there's a bunch of disclosures around climate financial disclosures, and started as an international kind of group with the likes of Bloomberg and a few other people from the guy from BlackRock and a few other kind of big wigs around the financial world. And they've started putting a couple of points together, i.e. there's this enormous elephant in the room around the insurance, the insurability of everything in the world when it's connected to climate disasters and the knowledge that we have that there's a climate kind of disaster impending. And they've kind of put a couple of points together and go, yeah, so we know that there's all this climate action disasters happening. We don't like it, but it's happening. Then there's a whole bunch of coal mines, you name it, anything related to fossil fuels and lots of emissions. There's a whole bunch of those things going around that are sitting there chugging away, that people are investing in, companies are investing in, but they're creating the climate crisis that we're in. And they're expensive to insure, and they're going to get more expensive to insure if we have this climate kind of disaster coming towards us. Maybe it would be a really good idea if we get companies to disclose where their financial risk and where their action is happening. Are they investing in those fossil fuel big emitters out, in the economy? Are they investing in that? Because if they're investing in those things, that's an insurance and economic nightmare. That means that those companies will have these basically eventually uninsurable commodities in their kind of investment portfolio, and they will be what's called stranded assets, i.e. no value, can't insure them, no economic kind of action. And that would be a disaster. And what if those boards of those big companies are doing that on purpose, or they just don't care and they're not telling us what they're doing? That would be really bad. So these guys all said, right, we need companies to disclose what their climate action is. What are they doing to demonstrate that they are looking after their fiduciary responsibilities, running the business in a really ethical way? And it's not just climate, it's also now we're looking at modern slavery. I mean, modern slavery has been around for a while, i.e. we want to get rid of it, not that we want to encourage it. So all of this is related. So basically the TCFD kind of task force and have said, this is what we want, here's what we think businesses should be doing. And now individual governments around the world have said, yeah, wow, that really makes sense. We will take those guidelines on. So they've integrated those into their government kind of policies and regulations. So in Australia, they've done exactly the same, thank goodness. And so the ASIC is our, national regulatory body for fiduciary responsibilities in companies. And they've also said, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We don't want companies having stranded assets on their books and them actually, not taking any sort of understanding of the fiduciary impacts of not taking action around their climate impacts.
Yeah.
And so now every company is obliged to demonstrate and to report eventually on what their action is around being responsible for their climate impact. And it's massive, even for the little guys, even for us, be it BWA or Galactic, we all need to show that we're taking our fiduciary responsibilities really seriously, and understanding what is our climate risk, what's our environmental impact, what's our footprint, how big is our footprint. And for BWA, it's probably not a lot. You'd look at maybe your purchasing. Where are you purchasing from? Where do you get your energy from? You're mostly, individuals in houses, but maybe that's important. What else could you do? Probably that's about it. Purchasing. If you're driving something, you're driving an electric car, or if the business is owning something, it's an environmentally kind of sound decision. For Galactic, it's a little bit more complex, because we're going out and we're some, half of our business is going out and repairing, these really complex machines using 3D printing and physical people servicing, doing all that stuff and maintaining those machines. So that's really good. But we also need to be really careful about where we're purchasing from. And, that's why we've got a modern slavery policy, or an anti-modern slavery policy. That's why we've got a sustainability policy. And every business also needs to have those things. But it's really hard for SMEs to have all of those things if they don't have someone like me. And I can't be, the people like me, we can't be everywhere. We're not cloning, sadly. Has not gone very far. Be nice.
Yeah, but I suppose, one of the good things is we see, a lot of like these, when people enroll in any kind of, course, in any kind of business course, like business commerce, they've all now got that sustainability aspect, which
is great.
Which is great, but I think it's one thing that we're really going to see improve. I could be wrong, because this is just
I think you're right. No, I think you're right.
But, it might even take still another 10 years for that to really kick in again.
Possibly.
As everyone who's coming through the machine levels up and starts feeling like they've got to have more of a voice.
Yeah. Well, and I think also the younger people coming up underneath us and behind us are saying, are questioning the system, and rightly so. They're saying, why do we do it this way? This is crazy. You're creating all of this waste. Yeah, that's right, and it's crazy. You're right. It's stupid.
And and then they've got to deal with the kickback. You look at things like plastic straws.
Yeah.
Look at the kickback that plastic straws have had.
And what is the actual problem? The actual problem is like minuscule. We don't like, turtles dying because they're ingested straws. No, horrible. But the actual problem, when you look at it, is like, 0.00001% of the problem. But the impact of someone going, what the hell? Why are we doing that? Massive. And now, paper straws still aren't the best.
Right.
They're not great. But the alternate, bamboo, metal, silicon, they're all really good.
I'm that crazy person who keeps like all my cutlery and straws. Like I have a bag, and I have people going, why do you carry cutlery? In case I get takeout.
Yeah, the same.
So,
I've got a little scroll of, straw, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Just,
I love
you
it.
just never know when you might need
That's See, this is just why we get along so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the good thing is, we've covered, really is there anything else that businesses you think can do to meet their fiduciary responsibilities?
Yeah, look, ultimately what ASIC is asking businesses to do is to implement some type of auditing process and a framework around a sustainability policy. That's pretty much it. Make sure that you've got a sustainability policy, and look, the suite of things that sit underneath that would be great, but first and foremost, get that right. Then make sure that all of your kind of normal corporate risk stuff. Have you got a safe workplace? Are you treating people properly and ethically? Are you paying them properly? All of that normal stuff that we would call corporate risk. That's you're already assumed that you're dealing with that. Most small businesses have no process to do that. It's just guesswork. Because how do most small businesses start? They start with one or two people, and those two people are doing everything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big ask. So one of the things that we created at Galactic is this suite. I'm calling it sustainability as a product, kind of as a sort of as a throwback to this circular economy concept of product as a service. So sustainability is a service now. I provide sustainability as a service to our customers and our clients, and now what we've created at Galactic is this sustainability as a service, but it's online. And it's basically everything is there to purchase online. You can you join us and the site, get on the website, and you can download a sustainability policy. It sits in a package of, we've basically kind of made it really simple. There's 3 packages: small, medium, and large. We've got some geeky names for them, but I won't bore you with those yet. But
look, I've already emailed you about me finding a little.
Well, Galactic Cooperative, we're a bunch of geeks.
I love it so much.
With a penchant for all things geekery, and particularly Star Trek and the Doctor Who, Star Wars, all that. and so the small, medium, large, we've just divided each of those packages. You've got the minimum requirements, and then the higher you go, the more you get. But the basic small package is you've got a sustainability policy, you've got an energy and resources policy, so that'll deal with your power, your waste, and then corporate risk is am I paying my people properly? Am I running a safe workplace? All that QS, HR kind of stuff. And, are people happy in my workplace? The basics, which is what ASIC really requires. And then everything else after that. And you can, purchase hours of time with me. But ultimately, those 3 packages will meet the needs of different size businesses. But it's easy to do. It's online. It meets your need wherever you're at, your business is at, it will meet that need. And it's a once-off purchase plus a kind of membership, so that we'll be doing newsletters and information upgrades, and upgrading those policies as well, adding stuff, and you'll be able to be getting those ongoing. And I think for us, that really democratizes sustainability, because ASIC in their wisdom have said, everyone should have this stuff. What they haven't said is how on earth SMEs are going to do this. And ASIC is not in the business of doing that, but hopefully, small, medium, and possibly, a few large organisations can now go, oh, great, I can download that and get a couple of hours of help from Kate, sorted.
Brilliant.
And then when it comes to the mandatory auditing, which is, it'll be happening. ASICs will eventually want people to be, or, companies to be demonstrating really and truly, how are you doing this? They'll be ready to go. They'll be able to say, oh, we've got this. Here's our numbers. This is how much energy we use. This is what we're doing. This is what our, purchasing is like. This is what our waste stream is like. Yeah. Sweet.
Brilliant.
Dunsky.
I knew we'll do this. We've kind of gone over time, but that's what happens when you and I talk. But, just for the layman's like me, can you just do me a quick favour and just explain the difference between your sustainability, your ESG?
Oh, yeah.
And corporate risk. So did I get that right? Yes.
Really good. Yeah, really. Or it's also a CSR. I think it's called, CSR is corporate social responsibility, and ESG is environment, social and governance, and then sustainability. So sustainability is really where it started. Sustainability, the meaning of sustainability is about enabling and making sure that whatever we're doing now meets the needs of us at this generation, but also meets the needs of the future generation without robbing them of their future capacity and opportunities. Yeah. So we're not overextending our budget in the environmental sense. ESG and CSR both were terms that ultimately in the investment and financial business sectors just invented because they didn't like sustainability as a term. I don't know why, but basically it describes exactly the same thing. Corporate social responsibility is how is a business presenting and fronting from a social, benefit perspective. Are they giving back to the community? What is their social license to operate? And are they making that a positive one rather than a negative one? But that's also included in sustainability. Sustainability is economic, social, and environmental benefit. EEC, EES. And ESG, same. Governance is by default included in all of, it's in the environment, it's in the social, it's in the economic part of sustainability. But, the finance world likes to separate these things and come up with these special little names, but basically exactly the same. ESG, we want a company to be demonstrating that they are really looking, their governance around environment and social and economic is clear, that they're demonstrating that they're making really good decisions, that they're employing the right people to do the right thing in the right way. That's pretty much it. Just call it sustainability is my take on it.
It seems that as soon as you start focusing on the smaller aspects, the bigger ones will almost start to fall into line as well. So.
That's correct. I think so. Yeah.
So, but
first step.
We have definitely reached time here.
Yeah.
As always, I love chatting with you.
Likewise, LJ. Likewise.
Thank you for joining the BWA podcast. Did you guys have one?
We had one. It was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it was good. We're kind of a soft launch for our, sustainability as a product, a service. Yeah.
Best product out there now. As long as we, reduce those emissions by 2030.
Yep. Let's do it. We can do it. Woohoo.
Thanks so much for your time and have a great day.
You too. See you.